Jesus stands at the door knocking. In total reality, he comes in the form of the beggar, of the dissolute human child in ragged clothes, asking for help. He confronts you in every person that you meet. As long as there are people, Christ will walk the earth as your neighbor, as the one through whom God calls you, speaks to you, makes demands on you. That is the great seriousness and great blessedness of the Advent message. Christ is standing at the door. He lives in the form of a human being among us. Do you want to close the door or open it?
Well, welcome to Grace for the Wilderness podcast. I'm Eric.
Hey, and I'm Andy.
So I've been waiting for this. So, you know how I can tell you're someone who needs a lot of grace?
Oh, I bet you can tell me.
So, our listeners, I know they can't see, but in our man cave studio, Andy was on the phone a while ago. I don't know with who, it doesn't matter. But Andy was talking with someone because he needed some extra yarn for his knitting that he's doing. And of all these years, Andy, I had no idea you were knitting.
I was knitting you a pair of shoes, booties, because your wife told me how much you liked them.
So,
the surprise is spoiled now.
Mm-hmm. So I didn't know you were a knitter. Well, you there.
There you go.
Yeah. So, he was looking for a specific number on the yarn, and I was like, wow. Which then reminded me that you couldn't even find the name of the book that you had on our podcast script. You were, what is the name of that book that reading came from? Right there, Andy, right above where you just read it from.
I know, right?
God is in the manger. Right there. Right there.
At least I know where the freaking Grand Canyon is, though.
In Arizona. I told you that.
You ever figure out where the Everglades are?
I haven't looked it up yet. When the Advent rolls around where we slow down, I'll look it up.
Well, I've been thinking a lot.
Oh, that's scary.
I've tried to make these jokes fit the holidays.
Try being the key word.
Well, I did. The last one was about Thanksgiving, and I joked about you at Thanksgiving. Halloween, I joked about the terrible.
Oh, the pencils, yeah.
You give out to kids, and I even joked, one time about how you eat stuffing and not dressing, and you said cornbread stuffing, which I still don't get because you don't even know.
Have you not had cornbread stuffing?
Okay, so
that is a thing. That is a thing.
Oh, it's not.
It is. Hang on.
So dressing is made from cornbread.
Hang on.
Stuffing is not.
Hang on. So it's cornbread stuffing, right?
No, it's just stuffing.
Hang on. Hang on.
But dressing.
Is there cornbread stuffing?
Oh, now he's going to talk to Siri, his best friend.
Yeah, see, look. Corn. I wish y'all could see this right here. Cornbread classic stuffing. And then, yes, it is. They have it at Walmart. Man. Look, there's cornbread stuffing.
What makes the difference between dressing and stuffing is that dressing is made from cornbread. Stuffing is not.
Look, even has here, is cornbread stuffing the same as regular stuffing? Cornbread stuffing is made just like traditional dressing or stuffing, but made with a mixture of cornbread and white bread.
I bet you've never made dressing before in your life.
Oh, I have not made it, Andy.
Of course you haven't.
Oh.
I knew you haven't.
That's what your parents are for.
I literally make it just about every year now. So
why you knit?
No, it's a pretty big.
Oh, this is a good one today.
But I was thinking about Christmas.
Hang on, the knitting's an undertaking or the cooking?
I was thinking about gifts. And when you're a kid, I know you're only child, right?
Yeah.
But if you would have had siblings,
okay,
you're in your room and
make believe world.
Santa comes and it's like 2:00 in the morning.
Okay.
Right. And you're a kid. You can't go to sleep. You can't wake up.
That's true.
I guarantee you that Eric stayed in his bed the whole time until the morning. He did not get up and go look and cheat. But
That is true.
I knew it
Because I was
I knew
fearful.
it.
I was fearful that my parents would have spanked
you
the
would have had a
heck out of
sibling-
me.
If you had had a sibling, they'd have been. If they would have been younger than you, they'd been so mad at you because you would not have.
I didn't
let them
even
go.
I didn't even dare open up my door. I mean, like that was. I mean, it was a. I mean, I vividly remember you just did not do that. I mean, no. So, no,
Boy, you're fun at parties, right?
I'm a life of the party. All right. So, what was your favorite gift growing up as a child?
My favorite gift. Um, so there's a couple of them, but
Child. Let's define. Child stops like at age like 10 or 11.
Okay.
Not last year. Okay.
not last year.
Yeah.
Oh, well, perhaps. Um,
Just for
I
man doesn't
remember.
count.
I remember, and this is something that a lot of people may not remember, but there was a game console called the Atari 360,
Yes.
and that was the bomb. And I mean,
Huh.
it wasn't like today, and you get it's like something you hold in your hand. I mean, it's like this big thing, and you hooked it into the TV.
It was a big box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you bought the games separately. It came with like a couple of games, and you plugged the games in, and man, it was fun, you know. And I remember that being probably one of my most favorite gifts. Of course, my birthday is pretty close to Christmas, so a lot of times I kind of got the shaft,
The raw
I
end of
got
the deal.
combo present, right?
Yeah.
And we're gonna make sure that you get an extra special. No,
Yeah. It was just a gift. It was just a gift.
They're just, I didn't want to buy you two presents, so I'm gonna buy you one and
So-
tell you.
It's funny you said the Atari. So I remember vividly, probably one of my favorite gifts was
Pet Rock.
you never had a pet rock, but I did have well, that's different. Anyways, but when the Nintendo console came out, so it's the original Nintendo, I remember getting that, and then I remember my mom and myself playing that like every night together, playing Mario Brothers.
I bet you played Miss Pac-Man.
I still play Miss Pac-Man. What are you kidding? The best of all time.
What was your favorite arcade game? Arcade game.
Arcade?
Yeah.
Pac-Man.
Really?
It still is.
Really?
If you take me to like Paramount or whatever and it has all the games, I will go to Pac-Man.
So
I mean, Mike
Tyson,
that knockout might have been my second, but Pac-Man is still up there for like
this is
game.
This is so wrong on so many levels. Pac-Man?
What? Yeah, it's classic. It is.
Okay.
It's a classic eye-hand coordination. You gotta be fast.
And,
Fast.
Oh, it's just a pattern. dude.
Fast. No, it's not a pattern.
Yes.
That's a Rubik's Cube.
No, it's a pattern. If you do the pattern on Pac-Man, you get it right every time, no
Oh,
matter how
Lord.
fast it goes.
That's same for Mike Tyson knockout KO.
No, man.
Yes, it was.
The greatest arcade game ever, without a doubt. And
No.
you cannot dispute this.
Well, I just did.
Well, you were wrong. It's Galaga.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What?
Galaga was
No.
wrong, man.
No, it was not.
Yes.
There was always a line for Pac-Man, not Galaga.
What was that?
I was playing the game. There was hand motions with that.
Wow. That was on so many levels disturbing what you just did. With
Does
your
that
hand in
shock
the
you?
sound.
Does that shock you?
With your hand in that sound, it was really disturbing. And I think I need a safe space right now.
There's a closet over there. Galaga.
Galaga was the bomb.
Andy.
And let me tell you something.
That goes because you don't even drink like real coffee. You drink like milkshake.
Coffee?
Well, it's like you put all their additives in it or whatever.
I put a little creamer in it. That's
A
it.
little, the whole
Just a
bottle.
little.
No wonder you knit. So your hands are jittery.
And you know the cool thing about the Atari games was back in the day, they didn't go on forever. So if you got really good at them, you could do what you call flip them. And so you get so good at it, you could play it for so long and succeed for so long, and the game would literally stop.
I did not know this.
Yeah, you didn't know this?
No.
Dude, you could flip Pac-Man, you could flip Galaga, you could flip.
No.
Yes. Yes, you can. And I could flip. There were several of them that I could flip. One of them being Berserk, which is a crazy game to be.
Did I hear dessert?
Berserk, not dessert.
This just went off the rails fast.
Dessert.
We're 10 minutes in and we're like on dessert.
So he's playing Miss Pac-Man and dessert. Okay. And I'm playing Galaga.
Knitting. While and cooking.
But also, really cool gift that I got before that was I got a pale yellow bike, and it had a really long brown banana shaped seat. And man, that was freedom on two wheels.
I can just picture that. Just reminds me like Opie, like Andy Griffith or something.
Well, hey, it was the bomb, man. And you'd leave the house on your bike, and you'd be gone all day till it got dark.
Always wanted a horse. I kept asking, I never got a horse.
I wonder why you didn't get a horse.
Why not? We had the yards, the space for it. Not like we didn't have the space.
Have you asked your wife for a horse?
She doesn't like horses.
Oh, okay.
She had an incident. Maybe we'll get her on one day and talk.
Y'all pray for Eric's wife. You see what she has to live with, right? That's why I'm knitting him socks.
Hang on. My wife may hit me on this one, but I want to show Andy something. So, people often say to my wife, "Oh my gosh, you have to live with him." But I just want to show you, that.
Oh wow! He's showing me a video of his wife dressed in his clothes as Granny with a walker.
Instagram. She's on Instagram. It's called Instagranny. So
Instagranny.
Check it out.
And if you check it out, those are Eric's clothes.
Yeah, those are mine, and the wig.
Yeah. So. And the night that she showed that she started wearing all those stuff is like Halloween, and we were over at Eric's house, and Papa Fox was there, and well, we had some really crazy conversations with Papa Fox. We need to have an episode with Papa Fox.
All right, we can do it.
He knows a thing or two about the wilderness,
and he really had some good advice and wisdom.
What were
they? I remember I asked him, for him personally, how do you get out of the wilderness that he's in? Remember? And he said,
what he said. Do you remember what he said?
Oh yeah, he said, "Stop complaining."
Yes.
And I thought that was so good on so many levels.
He said, "Stop complaining and make fun of wrong way."
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's exactly what Papa Fox.
Now he might have been intoxicated too. So
I didn't aid that, did you?
No, he came up with that crushed warm beer can, dented in. It's like, what you got there, Papa Fox? Oh, I got me a warm beer.
So, I wonder how long he'd had that.
Oh, no telling. Maybe a couple of days. He was holding on tight to that thing.
Ooh.
So, but that.
He told us a story about a bull too.
Oh,
you got to get a good running start.
He had some good stories, didn't he?
Hey, we have definitely gone off the rails here, and we're supposed to be talking about Advent.
What? Which I'm going to get us back in. Hang on, this is my pastoral skills coming out. You ready? So, Papa Fox in that story of the wilderness, and stop complaining. That really, in a lot of ways, is Advent.
Yeah.
Because what do we do? What should we be doing during Advent? We slow down. Like we're slowing down to, number one, remember Christ being born, but to slow down and remembering those things and to embrace and wait. We're waiting for it. There's that longing expectation. We're waiting. And
so what is Advent? Tell me, define the word Advent.
Wait.
Pastor Eric.
Wait. To wait. That longing, it's an expectation, wait. But it's, and doing that, you have to slow down.
Yeah. So that's like our response. I think there's two sides to the word Advent, right? There's Advent or coming, right?
Yeah.
So there's the first coming of Christ, and then we're longing for that second one.
Yeah, the return.
Right. And so that's the Advent part of God's action.
Yeah.
And now you're talking about our response is waiting.
Yeah, and I think it's a, you said it really well. It's slowing down to remember the coming that he did. He was that birth, but then he's going to come again.
Yeah.
But it's that expectation that we can experience, and we do have heaven on earth. It's that remembering that Christ came to earth and was with us. He walked with us. And it's that waiting that one day we will see him again. He's coming. Just like they were waiting for him to be born, like they're like for that waiting on coming. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
There's never been a time where we haven't been waiting. I mean, even in the Old Testament, they were prophesying about it and they were waiting. And I just find that it's a warmth that 3,000 years ago they were waiting. And what are you and I doing during Advent?
Yeah.
We're waiting for his coming.
And we say, what are we doing? That's what we should be doing, right?
Yeah.
But we get this season all off kilter, don't we?
Yeah. It starts, not even, in most cases, it doesn't even, like the whole season starts before Thanksgiving even gets here.
Yeah, I mean, we're recording this before Thanksgiving, and if you go outside and turn on the radio right now, there's a radio station that's playing Christmas music. I've been listening to it for a week.
And people have Christmas decorations up, and you go in any store, they're everywhere. It's like...
guilty as charged. Our family's putting our Christmas decorations out tomorrow night.
See, at least growing up, my parents, we did it the day after Thanksgiving. I mean, come on. So after we had our cornbread stuffing and pumpkin pie.
So... Wow. There's a lot of pride there in that language.
But
what are you waiting for?
Pumpkin pie. But to your point, culturally, what are most people really waiting for?
When we were kids.
Gifts.
We're waiting on presents.
Yes, the gifts.
I love the whole Christmas story. I know some people get burned out on it because they show it 3,000 times every year, but the kid wanting the Red Ryder BB gun.
Well, shoot your eye out.
And and nobody wants him to have it.
Yeah.
But that's all that consumes him. Every moment of, even, his teacher tells him he has to write a theme, which I never understood that. We never called that growing up a theme. We call it paper.
Yeah.
Right? Or a report. And anyway, and so his theme is on what he wants for Christmas, and it's a Red Ryder BB
gun,
right? He was consumed with that whole thought. Even his, daydreaming of being this cowboy that's shooting the bad guys with his Red Ryder BB gun, right? So, it reveals our heart, right?
Yeah.
What are we really waiting for?
It reminds me of another great movie is, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I mean, what is he waiting for? For that his bonus to come in to pay for the swimming pool.
He's waiting for Eddie to leave.
Well, oh, good old Eddie. You couldn't hear a squirrel. Never mind. We can start quoting that one all day long.
I mean, I literally could quote almost every line from this movie. So, Eric, that's the gift that keeps on giving all year long. But in our culture, that whole sense of Advent is taken away.
Yeah.
And we find ourselves in the midst of, we got to go to this part, we got to buy this gift, we got to do these decorations, we have to make this food, we got to do this, we got to do that, do this. You get so busy. Are we really waiting with expectation? Like, so, the prophetess that they take Jesus to the temple. Is it prophetess? I can't remember, but there's a prophet at the temple when they dedicate him, and they were like, I can die in peace now because God had told me that I would see the Messiah before I would die. And there was this deep sense. Not obviously that wasn't with every person, but this deep sense of longing, and it wasn't just waiting; it was longing, like the kid waiting on the Red Ryder BB gun.
Yeah, and I think though that I guess the question really then is, what should we be doing while we wait? I mean, because if okay, we know we're supposed to wait, but what should we be doing? I think that's what we're trying to figure out as well.
Yeah, I mean, shouldn't we be remembering first?
Yeah, I mean, but if someone's in the wilderness now,
yeah,
and again, we mentioned this in our last episode, the Thanksgiving episode, and I'll say it again. This time of year can be really hard for some people. Yeah. To your point, the pressure that we have put on, you have to buy gifts, you have to bring the food, you've got to go to these parties. Some people don't have the money to do these things. They go into debt to impress people or be with people or have the gifts. And it just becomes this, a weight, and it becomes a fear, it becomes a negative, a depression almost. So this time of year can be hard for people. And so if you're in the wilderness, what should we be doing as we wait on the birth of Christ and on Christ coming back to earth? And that, you're right, remembering.
We should be remembering, man, because, we talked about this last episode about Thanksgiving. Building a life that's characterized by giving thanks. Should we not be building a life that's characterized by contemplating on Christ, by remembering what he's done for us, by contemplating what God has done throughout history? I think sometimes we look at history beginning at the cross, and we forget about, the creation and all the things that he did to redeem us, even beginning then, even us Gentiles, right?
Yeah. And then I think that in that waiting, what should we be doing is we have to remember, but I think there's also that sense of repentance, overarching. We remember who God is, and then now we're remembering what Christ did.
Yeah.
But then it's thinking, okay, Christ did all that for, so we can be in right standing with God. He's that ultimate sacrifice, Passover. Then I have to do my part in going and remembering, hey, I have really messed up. I have been going down the, no pun intended, wrong way in certain areas of my life. It's when that waiting, it's also looking back, going and thinking through, okay, what do I need to change? What do I need to allow Christ to change in me?
Yeah.
And it's that repenting, it's that turning away from what I shouldn't be doing and turning towards Christ the Messiah.
Yeah.
The one that we're waiting on.
Yeah. And do you think that involves embracing his mission?
Define mission. Define.
So I think that's really cool, because that's exactly what I wanted you to say. Man, I led you down that path directly where I wanted you to.
I don't know why we do scripts anymore, Andy. We haven't stuck to a script in a while.
but you went right where I wanted you to. So when Jesus was on the earth,
yeah,
and they asked him, "What is your mission?" That basic question.
Okay, yeah.
No, it was defined a little bit The linguistics were a little bit different. Basically, that's the mission. What are you here for?
Right.
How would he have responded?
How would Jesus have responded?
Yeah. We know.
I mean, to have life to the fullest.
But he said to seek and save the lost.
Well, I came to save not the religious, but the outcast, the poor, the needy, the sick.
Yeah, and to serve, and that whole concept of seeking.
Yeah,
the less than.
That's right.
Whatever. But then I've always thought that in Ephesians chapter 2, Paul he develops that more fully. And now that Christ has accomplished, so we're going to get into some deep theology here, okay? And maybe we shouldn't have added in, but I think it's important. Christ has accomplished that goal. He has fulfilled that ability. And then Paul refines that in Ephesians chapter 2. He says these words. He says, therefore remember at one time you Gentiles in flesh called the uncircumcision by what is called the circumcision, which is made in the flesh by hands. Remember that you were at that time separated from Christ, alienated from the commonwealth of Israel, and strangers in the covenants of promise, having no hope and without God in the world. Here it is. But now in Christ Jesus, you who once were far off have been brought near by the blood of Christ. For he himself is our peace, who has made us both one and has broken down in his flesh the dividing wall of hostility by abolishing the law of commandments expressed in ordinances, that he might, and here's the key part that I would argue, that he might create in himself one new man in place of the two, so making peace, and might reconcile us both to God in one body through the cross, thereby killing the hostility. I absolutely love that. And I think about what are we to be doing in the Advent season?
Yeah.
We're to embrace his mission. And his mission, Christ's mission now, Paul is developing that further. Yes, he came to seek and save the lost, but now it's about making a new race of people.
Yeah.
That are Jesus's followers. And what does that look like for us? In the midst of the wilderness, the midst of the most challenging season of your life, how do we embrace this mission of Christ, even as we're waiting for God to see us through this challenging seasons, to see us through the wilderness? How do we do that? You have to give me your answer now in one sentence. Okay.
While we're going deep theology here, I'm going to give it to you in one word.
Okay.
Nothing.
Have to do nothing. Okay.
In regards to, I'm saying do nothing in regards to accepting and knowing our position in him as a follower of Christ.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes, and I'm extremely guilty of this, it's in these seasons, it's in the Thanksgiving season, Advent season, Easter season, Passover season. I find myself trying to do more.
Yeah.
To be more holy, to be more righteous, to be more good, if that's even possible.
Well, you can start with a little extra humility.
Because I'm pretty righteous as it is. My last name says it all. But in this, for me, in the waiting, what should I really be doing? Just allowing Christ to be living through me.
It's faith, man.
It's faith.
Yeah.
It's just sitting here saying, I don't have to get caught up in the hustle and bustle. I don't have to read my Bible more. I don't have to do all these things. He looks at me and he goes, I like you.
Mm-hmm.
You're good. You are in right standing with me. There's nothing you can do or not do that changes that.
Yeah.
And in that waiting, that's what they're doing. That's what we should be doing.
And we use this word faith, but I think that a better modern rendering of that would be trust.
Mm-hmm.
Because we lose our trust, don't we?
Yeah.
I think in the waiting.
Yeah. Because it's what do we have to do in the waiting? We have to trust that he will provide,
Yeah.
that he will, he will open doors, shut doors, whatever that might be. We have to trust he's going to do those things. We have to trust he will do the supernatural.
Yeah.
And that's where it's hard just to do nothing. The supernatural we can't do.
Yeah.
And that's on him. That's on Jesus and God.
And that's the very thing we want.
Yeah. That we want the
super level.
Yeah, we want that.
Yes.
And then but what we try to do is, well, let me create that. Let me do that.
Yeah.
Let me work it up. And then God's up there just looking at us going, hey, goober, like, can I do my job here? Like, get out of the way.
He's like, hey, Eric, get a running start.
Yeah. he's that heifer. But I mean, but is that not comforting if you are in the wilderness right now?
Oh, definitely. And as we're moving into this, we're recording this before Thanksgiving, and this is meant for, the first Friday of December.
Yeah.
So it'll be like, December 6th or so. I don't have my calendar in front of me.
7th, 8th, 9th.
Well,
something.
December the 1st is
December 2nd is a Monday.
What?
So
that's what it said. December 1st is the first Sunday. So, yes, December the 2nd would be a Monday.
I often don't listen to Andy. So December 6th is that Friday.
Okay. So this is the projected, if he can get his maths right
in my directions,
this will come out then, and we're thinking about, we're waiting, and as we're waiting, we're remembering what Christ has done the first time he came.
Yeah,
which is to pay the penalty for sin once and for all, seek and save the lost.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've been given this other mission, which is to be part of this new race of mankind that Christ died to create.
Right.
And I think that's such a beautiful, encouraging thing to know, and coming out of a week or so ago of a pretty divisive election and all the things that we saw. And, we mentioned that before, all the things that are out there that can divide us.
Yeah.
That's the very thing that Christ came
to demolish.
Yeah. Literally Paul writes, he came to tear down the wall of hostility, where that wall is, Paul's, referring specifically to the Jewish Gentile barrier there, but so whatever other barriers we're facing between the people, Christ has come to redeem those things, and our job is to trust.
Yeah. And, you were mentioning earlier to my trust, about this book called God is in the Manger, which you couldn't find the title that you had written above. But, and then there's this movie's coming out as well, the Bonhoeffer movie.
Oh.
But, you were talking a lot about him and what he went through during World War II, and about faith. And what does that look like for us today?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not good. I mean, a different time period, but it doesn't change.
Well, I think Bonhoeffer is a modern day hero. I say modern. I mean, he died in 1945, but, modern society. And, for those of you who don't know, he's a pastor in Germany, right?
Yeah.
And he opposed the Nazis. And he even took part in the plot to assassinate Hitler. And you can actually, I'm going to make a guess here. You've not seen this movie. Have you seen the movie Valkyrie?
No.
Of course not.
Is that it? He just makes up movies, people. Andy is like known. He just makes up these. I mean, I don't even know what he just said. Okay. I mean, spelling it, who's in it. You just make up stuff, Andy.
The main character played by Tom Cruise is called
Mission Impossible.
Tom Cruise has been other movies besides Mission Impossible, but it was Valkyrie. And
Top Gun. I'm trying to help Andy pronounce it correctly. Days of Thunder. Oh, Val Kilmer. Is that?
Although I will say, Val Kilmer, one of the greatest acting performances of all time.
Tombstone.
Oh gosh, yes, his portrayal of Doc
I'll be a
Holliday.
Huckleberry.
Oh man,
Hey,
Hmm.
I want to go watch that. Oh, that and Godfather.
I don't know about the Godfather. It's
Tombstone.
okay.
Tombstone's a good one.
Oh my, you're not wearing a bustle.
My.
So, we really got off the rails there. But there was a film from 2008 called Valkyrie, and Tom Cruise played the leading character, and it was about the attempt to assassinate Hitler, and it was foiled because one of his generals moved the briefcase and he placed it in such a way where the table muffled the blast from the bomb, and it didn't kill Hitler. And Bonhoeffer actually was a willing participant in that in some form or fashion. I don't remember why. And for that, he was arrested, sentenced to death, and eventually he was hanged just a couple of weeks before the Allies liberated Berlin. And
I know.
A couple of years after his death, they started publishing his letters to his girlfriend, his parents, and to other folks, and reading some of the things that he had written while he was in prison. And that's where God is in the Manger comes from.
Yeah.
And so it takes on this whole deeper understanding and of knowing his situation, what he was going through.
Yeah.
This is not a man who was kicked back eating bonbons every day, right?
Right. Jeez. Well, you like sometimes things that come out of your mouth.
Do you not know what a bonbon is?
Yeah, I know what a bonbon is.
It's ice cream, man.
I know.
Okay.
I mean, it just reminds me of the honey bun for some reason. Did you have honey buns growing up?
because they sound alike, because they're nothing similar.
It goes back to the Bob Seger thing. Life is a highway. But
so Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Bonhoeffer. But he when you think about what he was going through, what he was living through, and we think about the waiting that he experienced, what a tremendous person to be able to describe Advent.
Yeah.
And what to do in the waiting. I mean, if there was a sense of wilderness in modern times, this dude experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, I have a couple other quotes here. I want to read this next one for you. He goes on after this other quote that he goes on to write later on in that same vein. He said, "Christ is knocking. It's still not Christmas, but it's also still not the great last Advent, the last coming of Christ. Through all the Advents of our life that we celebrate runs the longing for the last Advent, when the word will be, 'See, I am making all things new.' The Advent season is a season of waiting, but our whole life is an Advent season. That is, a season of waiting for the last Advent, for the time when there will be a new heaven and a new earth."
Amen.
Wow.
And I think it's in that, talking about that waiting, I was reminded even this morning that, it talks about there, a new heaven and a new earth. And I think oftentimes we have the mentality of now, then there,
Mm-hmm.
like we're in the now, then there's going to be the new heaven.
Yeah.
But really, if in this vein of Advent is kind of that's what we should always be in, right?
Yeah.
It's the now and there.
Yeah.
That we're in the now and we're in the there. The there is in the now. It's the here and the there.
And we have now and laters.
Yeah. I love now and.
Did you call them now and laters or now and laters? Say the candy that you ate.
That I ate?
You never had a now and later?
I don't. I don't know what.
Oh, you don't know what a annihilator is? Okay.
I'm trying to like. Hang on. Do they have those?
They're
only in
like
Mississippi.
squares, candies,
Those
and
were
they're
in
fruity
Mississippi.
kind. No, it's definitely not a
No, that's a
Mississippi.
Starburst.
No,
That's a Starburst.
this is pre-Starburst.
You call a Coke a pop, so it's probably a Starburst.
There, I know you're going to Google it. The official name was Now and Laters, but of course, when you're a kid, you call them Now Laters. You munched it all together. You pushed it all together. You may call it Now Laters. You've never had a Now Later.
No,
Wow.
no.
Okay.
Not a Starburst.
That has nothing to do with a Now Later.
You said it was square and fruity.
It is square and fruity.
That's a Starburst.
Wow, I'm shocked. Are any of you shocked? I bet not. So, you know, and what you're talking about there is this tension.
Yeah.
This tension between, you know, it's almost like right now, but not quite yet. You know what I mean? So, like, and here we're going to get some deep theological grass here, and I think it's good. You know, Christ has defeated sin. It's happened. We don't have to wait on that.
That's right.
It's done.
Yeah.
And so when Bonhoeffer is talking about waiting on that second advent, it's not for Christ to come back and defeat sin. That's done. That's
The
accomplished.
law of sin and death has been
Right.
been destroyed.
Now, that doesn't mean that we don't struggle with sin.
Right.
You know, obviously, you struggle with several things.
Yeah. Remember, I'm wrong way. I
But
have to keep you somewhat humble.
Yet there's this tension. We know that he has defeated it, although we don't experience 100% defeat, victory over sin right now.
Right.
And those that say that you can, well, you know, we need to sit down and have a conversation. You probably need to know later.
Starburst.
I'm going to have to buy him some now later.
There is no such thing as an alligator. So,
but we know that in the next world to come, there will be a complete victory for us over sin.
yeah.
So we don't have to wait on Christ to defeat sin. It's done. It's finished. It is, when Christ said it is finished and gave up the ghost, it was, you know, and was raised from the dead 3 days later. That was it.
Right.
That issue is resolved.
That's right.
And so there's this tension, like you were talking about, both and.
Yeah. And that's, but that's also the hope for if you are in the wilderness and if you are in your, what we call pain and suffering, is that has been defeated. And if you can live in that, hang on, he's showing me that is a starburst. Look,
that is not a starburst.
That is like the 1950 versions of a new starburst. When the 80s came around, they changed them to starburst.
Go ahead.
But if you are in like that pain and suffering or the wilderness, it is a reminder that that's been defeated.
Yes.
And if you can remind yourself of that, then that's a huge help. That's a huge win.
Yeah.
It doesn't negate that you're in that pain or suffering. It doesn't mean it goes away or that it's not there.
Yeah.
But if you can remind yourself that in that it's been defeated.
Yes.
But in the now, it still stinks and it still sucks.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But if you can remind yourself, hey, in the there, that's not there anymore. It's gone. It's been defeated.
It's almost like, you know, Bonhoeffer was able, you know, as we get older, we're able to
speak for yourself. I have 0 wrinkles.
You are no spring chicken. You know, as we get older, we're able to look back at seasons of life. So in other words, there was a time when, you know, you could do certain things and now you can't. And maybe there's a time now that you get to do something else that you couldn't do before.
Yeah.
And we get that perspective. And it's almost like Bonhoeffer, even though he was a young man when he died, relatively young man, when he died. I think he was just 35 or 36, something
Yeah.
like that. When he died, he was able to grasp that concept of seasons and even the significance of eternity versus now.
Yeah.
And if you're walking down a trail,
Don't fall.
don't fall.
Don't fall. Don't
Yeah.
trip.
Pay attention to
Pay
the
attention.
trailheads.
Yeah.
Look for the blazes of hope.
Don't go the wrong way.
Don't go the wrong way. But you sometimes you experience inclines.
Yeah. Yeah.
But eventually that incline is going to stop.
And it goes downhill.
And maybe it'll be flat for a period. Or maybe it goes a decline. Or maybe the scenery changes around you. And so as we're waiting, is to develop that trust, to develop that ability to understand, wait a second, this is not it.
Yeah.
This is not all. I mean,
there's more. I mean, there's more, and it's better.
Oh yeah, vastly beyond anything we could ever compare.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you live in a prison like that, knowing that you're probably going to be hanged one day, which happened in Bonhoeffer?
Right.
How do you live in that way without knowing that?
Yeah.
How do you write these words?
Well, I mean, you and I mean, talking about that prison, you and I are not in a prison, though you go to prison. Andy goes to prison a lot.
I do.
I'm
a regular.
I have the access in the past to go. I just choose not to.
That's not true. They won't let him come back. When you're rejected by the prison,
that's bad. But we're physically not in a prison, but we've had a lot of private conversations, you and I, about our wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
And, it kind of begs the question of like, what have you learned from, because, you're talking about Bonhoeffer, like he learned the seasons, like he knew that deep within his soul, that advent is just always there. That waiting's always there.
Yeah.
That got him through. Like to your point, he probably knew he was going to die here pretty soon. What have you learned in the season of the wilderness?
So I've learned.
Now I'm the interviewer. Welcome to our guest today, is Andy Blake.
I've learned the importance of community. I mentioned in our last episode, when I was a kid, I had my best friend. His name was Joey. And if you saw me from the time I was about 8 years old until I was 17 or so, started dating girls, chasing after girls. You saw me, you saw him, and vice versa. We were always together. And,
Maverick and Goose.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Top
Gun. If you'd have been around, we could have been Larry, Moe, and Curly. But, I lost him in my early 40s. And, even before I lost him, it wasn't like we talked all the time every day. But if I ever need anything, I knew if I just picked up the phone, called him, he was there. Same for me. And I never had that trust before. And never really had that trust since. And in my period of walking through this, I realized I can't do it on my own. I need some guys around me.
Yeah.
I learned that, and also learned, and I think, Eric, I'm going to throw this back in your lap for a second.
I'm the interviewer, not you.
So, one of the things that we've talked a lot about is that we're both in a place where we're having to trust God for some things.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's something we want to share about everything, but some challenges we're facing. They're not in-game things. It's not some sin issues or anything like that. It's just some challenges that we're facing. And I'm learning to trust God. I'm learning what it means to trust. I would say, and I don't want for this to sound arrogant, but I have
Not at
gained
all.
I have gained a graduate degree in understanding grace and mercy and trust.
Mm,
And boy, I'm hard headed because I had to learn it the hard way.
yeah.
So, what about you, man?
Um, well, I mean, definitely the community part. I mean, that's, hands down having somebody to pick up the phone and talk with and talk to and then talk through. But
Papa Fox is
We-
always there.
that's true. He's always there. But it's really been perspective. And we talk about Papa Fox and I joke, but it's perspective. God's been showing me, even through this wilderness, that it can be worse.
Mm.
And I see that. And, Papa Fox, his wilderness is by no means of his own doing. It had nothing to do with him, but the apartment that he was in, unfortunately, was condemned because of a power meter issue. So he's homeless.
Yeah.
And, he lost pretty much everything he had.
Yeah.
So when I'm encountering our neighbors and our friends, God is showing me that they still have joy.
Yeah.
When I think about Papa Fox, I think about his smile, his laugh, his dancing, there's still a twinkle in his eye.
Yeah.
And so it's causing me to, no pun intended, slow down and wait and be patient and not rush. Don't rush.
Yeah.
Don't rush to make decisions. Don't rush to make judgments. Don't rush to do anything. Just listen, wait. And if you do that, you see the perspective. You see things in a different light. So what I think is a wilderness or something bad, God is showing me, oh son, it can be much worse.
Yeah. That's good. And that goes along with being able to see things in seasons as well.
Yeah.
So, and knowing that even if this season of suffering does not end this side of heaven, it does.
It does.
In the next world, because Jesus has already promised to make things all things new.
That's right.
And we'll experience no more pain, no more suffering. So, this December will mark the third anniversary of my mother's passing. And,
did she pass before or after Christmas?
Right, a couple weeks before Christmas. And so, in God's mercy, I'm about to have my first grandchild, and
during that same time frame,
she's due the same day that my mother passed, and she's going to be named for her. And so, I know right now that my mother is experiencing something that I can't imagine. I mean, not to rip off I Can Only Imagine, but really.
I can only imagine.
Oh, no. Well, let me stop before he breaks out his Bob Seger singing I Can Only Imagine.
Oh, you want Bob Seger? I can only imagine.
Oh, wow.
What that cigarette will be like. Talking about night moves.
You have been hanging out with Papa Fox quite a bit, I can tell.
How that sound, Andy? How that sound? Sound good?
Get you a running start.
I'm trying.
And by the way, I guess we should share the joke. The story that he told was about a bull that was not satisfied with just one cow, and so he had to get a running start to go after the other cow, the other heifer. That's what he called it, the heifer. So he showed us how this bull would get a running start.
Yeah. Some things you can only experience.
But,
Uh,
you know, when we think about this series, I mean, we went from Advent to
Heifers.
heifers to bulls chasing heifers. In
Uh,
this waiting and this learning and this time when we're considering the past and looking to the present, to the future, man, we got to learn to trust. Man, we
Yeah.
got to learn to, you know, I don't know that I've really voiced this to hardly anyone. You know, I remember several years ago, one of my prayers to God was, hey, and there's this relatively famous person, you know,
oh, you don't have to talk about me like that. It's okay.
well, everybody
knows. Everybody knows.
Nobody knows.
Melon.
Everybody knows Melon, man.
Nobody knows Eric. They're like, who? Oh, wrong way. Oh, wrong way. Yeah. He's over there.
By the way, does Papa Fox call you on right now when he sees you?
I don't know what comes out of his mouth sometimes.
Okay.
It's an acquired language.
Wait a second, you're the only person that speaks Papa Fox.
That's true. I did like decipher it to people, like interpret.
But I remember several years ago, there's this relatively famous person, family in Christian circles, and you know, he's this person, is past retirement age, and he's I used to watch him some, like on social media, some of his posts and things he would say, and his the things that he would say and write were so full of grace and so full of mercy. And I remember praying, God, I want to be like that guy. I want to be that guy. You know, when I get to a certain place in life, I'm able to just really exude grace and mercy. And I think that's what God's teaching me. And so I have only myself to blame because I asked him for it. And now he's showing me. And so I feel like now I'm developing this, I have this graduate gift of grace.
But it's your perspective on going through the wilderness. You know, that's you know, we don't, it's hard for us to show love if we haven't experienced receiving that love.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really
that's
hard.
What's missing, isn't it?
Hell yeah.
That's what's missing so much. And we're not going to bag on churches or anything like that, but just in the Christian life in general, man, we need that. Man, dude, that's what Christian leaders need.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to show them to them.
Yeah. I mean, Christ came Christ was with the marginalized, the outcast, the poor.
Me.
And me.
Yeah.
But how often do we push those people to the side and say, no grace for you.
Yeah.
But grace for me.
Yeah.
And it's the other way around.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to give grace if I haven't experienced, but once I've experienced it, once I've gone through a wilderness and I've experienced grace, then I can look at you and go, I don't know exactly what you're going through, but I can give you grace.
But I know that Christ's grace is sufficient to cover whatever it faces.
That's right.
And whatever is going on, it does not take God by surprise, and it never will.
Yeah. And my encouragement to our listeners is this: if you're in the wilderness, on doings as Melon does, or you know, it's just life, right? It doesn't matter. But if you're in the wilderness, that blaze of hope, that remembering, is that this is not the end, and to have faith that season, it will pass.
Yeah.
We go from in seasons in the you know, the physical seasons that we're in. I mean, we have winter, but what's next? Spring.
Yeah.
And summer.
Even, you know, Eric, not just this concept of surviving it, but thriving in it.
Yeah. You can thrive in the wilderness.
Yeah, thrive in that, and to know that God is going to use that next season, that season in life, to prepare you for the next.
That's what I say. That wilderness is prepping you for something oftentimes bigger and greater than you can ever imagine.
Yeah, and here's a little hint for all of our listeners out there. All 4 of you.
There's 6 now, Andy. 6. Seven because of our.
Yeah. Well, there's 7 people outside the door, and
but anyway. Get Starburst.
But they'll be much more happy to discover they're now laters. But in our field guide for the repentance, one of the things that we want to challenge people to do is to live 40 days like Jesus did. You know, he went into the wilderness for 40 days, and the Bible says he went to be tempted.
Yeah.
And not that we want you to put yourselves in tempting situation. I'm not saying that, but in our field guide, we're going to challenge people to spend 40 days in book 1 of the Psalms, and just really allow those Psalms to transform us.
Yeah, to wash over you.
Yeah. So I know we're probably way over time. There's a couple things that I think that is important to finish with. You want to read that last quote there, from the book?
Oh yeah. So, you know, Bonhoeffer's writing this to his fiance.
Yeah.
And so he says, and then just when everything is bearing down on us to such an extent that we can scarcely withstand it, the Christmas message comes to tell us that all our ideas are wrong, and that what we take to be evil and dark is really good and light because it comes from God. Our eyes are at fault. That is all. God is in the manger. Wealth and poverty, light and darkness, secure and abandonment. No evil can befall us. Whatever men may do to us, they cannot but serve the God who is secretly revealed as love and rules the world and our lives.
Wow.
I mean, that's no evil can befall. I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to bow down to God.
Yeah. And this coming from a man who's about to be hanged for opposing the Nazi regime.
And what I love about this is it says, what we take to be evil and dark is really good and light.
Yeah.
So we might be in the wilderness, but that can be good and light.
Yeah.
Later on.
Yeah.
So, and that comes from God.
Yeah. That's good. So, you know, we kind of previewed this a little bit. This is the last episode of season 1.
I can't believe it.
I know, right?
In 10 episodes.
Yeah. I mean,
this is awesome.
How much more fun could a person have to listen to these 10 episodes and to laugh along with us, right?
Well, it's going to get better next season.
Oh, you know why?
Because my jokes are going to get better.
Well, that won't take a whole lot of effort there.
Well, the bar is pretty low on that one.
I mean, if you raised it an inch off the ground, it would be better.
You got that one hurdled.
Check. I'm done. Make your New Year's resolutions. Make my jokes better.
First episode, that's done.
Consults dad jokes.
Googles everything. Learns the geography.
But we got it. So, you know, if we had the greatest hits of season 1, probably number 1 is that you didn't know where the Grand Canyon was.
Why you got to rub that in?
Montana. That's what you said. By the way, do you know where the Everglades is?
I haven't looked it up yet. Florida?
Yeah, you got it right.
I was thinking Everglades swamp alligators. Louisiana or Florida?
Interesting enough, I used to hunt in Camden, Alabama. We actually saw alligators in Camden, around Camden.
And anyway, they're in Andalusia.
Season 2. When we transition to that in 2025.
Yeah.
You know, we've been talking a lot about this concept of a gritty faith.
Yeah.
Not this esoteric intelligentsia, fancy pants faith.
Because we don't have that. If y'all saw us, you'd be like, ain't no fancy on them.
Where do you see those socks I'm knitting you for Christmas?
No.
But I think, you know, maybe that's not the faith that we really learned. And maybe for our listeners, that is maybe it's not the thing that they really learn.
Hmm.
Maybe it's just something that happened. Maybe it's just something that, the type of faith that didn't have to overcome these obstacles and just roll with the punches. Maybe it's just me. I don't think so, though.
But I think it's also having your people around you to remind you that gritty faith. You and I were talking. I mean, prime example. I mean, talking about the wilderness that we're both kind of in. I was reminding you last night about Abraham and Isaac. That was that gritty faith of he literally thought he was going to go sacrifice his son.
Yeah.
There was that faith of like, okay, God, that I'm going to do what you want me to do. And there was like, there had to have been a gritty faith with that.
Yeah.
That wasn't just
that's a great example, because that wasn't like a 20-minute walk for Abraham and Isaac.
No.
He knew it for a minute.
Yeah. And then especially then when Abraham tells some of his servants to, hey, wait here.
Yeah.
I'm sure Isaac's like, ruh-roh. Like, why are they not coming up with us, But it was that reminder of, it was like that gritty faith.
Yeah. That sense, that ability to overcome.
Yeah.
To be true to, not just to overcome, but to flourish and be true to your beliefs, not abandon those things, and yet continue to grow and flourish. And, that's the faith of Abraham and Isaac, or Abraham as he's about to sacrifice Isaac. It's the faith of Job. It's the faith of Bonhoeffer in prison, knowing he's about to die, and write to his fiancée, God is in the manger, light and darkness, wealth and poverty. I mean, that's the kind of faith, because I think you and I, when we first started talking about what is the one thing, the thing we asked, what is the one thing that the world needs the most? And we both said basically the same thing. We need more grace, man.
Yeah.
And then if we say, okay, if that's what we need God to give, what do we need to have as people? And I would say it's this kind of faith.
Yeah.
Not this crazy frou-frou kind of faith that, and maybe that's not the right analogy, but you understand what I'm saying. This faith that's dependent on circumstances, that's dependent on many things.
Yeah.
Or, one that you can overlook, and it's just this convenient faith.
Yeah. It's not a, it's not a go to quote church once a week, maybe open my Bible once a week, but it's on our knees in prayer. It's saying, God, what are you trying to show me? It's that gritty faith. Okay, God, if this is where you want me to be, okay. I don't get it, but I'm going to have faith that you're going to, it's having that faith that I know God is right and God is good.
Yeah.
And that's, and again, we say grit because that gritty faith, because that's just getting down into that, into the oomph, just the dirt, the messiness of life.
Yeah. And even the faith of Job, on the day he loses everything. He loses everything except his wife.
Yeah.
He loses his children, loses possessions, loses crops, loses everything. And it doesn't say that he just didn't curse God. It says that he worshiped.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we have a faith like that?
Yeah.
How do we find that? And that's what season 2, I really want us to we really want.
And we're going to unpack that and talk about that worship is a lot of that joy and celebration, that gritty faith. That's part of it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that we don't wash over or put away our wilderness, or we don't work through our pain and our suffering. We're not saying that at all.
No, definitely not.
But in the midst of all of that, if you have that true, real gritty faith, you can have joy. You can celebrate. You can be grateful. You can draw closer to God than you've ever. I mean, you and I are drawing closer to God each day in our wilderness.
Yeah.
And so that's what this whole podcast is about. We just want to encourage people that, hey, we're in the wilderness with you.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, this isn't just a high in the sky, nonsense. I mean, this is
I didn't have to convince them about that about you.
what, high in the sky?
That you were in the wilderness.
Yeah, everybody knows that. Stay in there. I need a machete sometimes. It gets a little thick.
Unless it was on water, as we learned.
Oh yeah, then I'm good then. I'm good then. Yeah. But that's how this was birthed.
By the way, I think you were referring to your bathtub or swimming pool, not an actual
my kiddie pool.
Yes.
I can see all the edges.
Man, I can find my way right past that into that kiddie pool.
Yeah, right there. But we just want to encourage, even as we look into season 2, that we want to keep encouraging. We want to keep showing you that there is hope and there is and grace. And we'll just keep unpacking and fleshing out what does it look like.
Yeah, and I think I would just want to encourage folks that are out there listening. If you have a topic along these lines about a gritty faith that you want to share, want us to talk about, if you have a person that you think would be really cool for us to interview, would you reach out to us at info@grace4thewilderness.com and just share that with us, and we'd love to talk to them at some point. And
and that's a secure email. I mean, that's just
yes,
it's just me and you. So,
and just as we close this time, we want to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas, and during this blessed season of Advent, as you wait, as you remember, as you trust. Keep these words close to your mind and your heart. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his face upon you and give you peace.
Amen.